Topic this morning is racial segregation, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about racial segregation Alana McLaughlin. Alana will give us some information in reference to her background, education, and her experiences, and then we'll get into the topic of racial segregation. Alana, let's first of all have you to talk about some information in reference to you and your odyssey in reference to being on this television show. I think that this is several seasons for you, and you started out as an 8-year-old child, and now you old enough to come to me and say, let's talk about racial segregation. And I agreed with that primarily because you've done such an excellent job in terms of some of the other, quote, grown-up topics that we felt that you had to deal with, and the topics that you convinced me that you were capable of dealing with, and so I fell for that, and so I'm back again with you dealing with racial segregation. But before we get into racial segregation, Alana, let's talk about your background, your education, and some of your experiences, and then we'll start talking about the topic itself.
Well, for our new viewers, my name is Alana McLaughlin, born August 27th, 2002. I went to pre-K at Napier Elementary and multiple schools after that, and I currently go to John Early Museum Magnet Middle School, where I'm in 6th grade. Now, I'm very involved in church and other activities. Actually, this upcoming summer of 2014, I'm going to be attending the Junior National Young Leaders Conference in Washington, D.C. And if you're not familiar with the conference, it is basically where children all around America come together for a 1 week in Washington, D.C., which is parents free, where you experience Washington as a living classroom instead of being just a tourist or a resident of Washington. And so I'm very excited for that. And I'm also heavily involved in my school, church, and any activity I can really get into. Like at school, I'm on our debate team, the student council, everything I can get into, really. I was previously on our STEP team, and I hope to be a cheerleader next year when I get into 7th grade. And in church, I'm on a lot of committees: the United Methodist Women's Committee, the Acolyte Committee, the Usher Committee. I try to help it when I can, because I just feel like that's my duty on earth.
Very good. And of course, Alana, you've been involved with a lot of things. But now let's look at the topic that you're dealing with today, racial segregation. Now, what would you say about that? How would you approach that topic?
Racial segregation. When the average person would hear that, they would think, the 1900s, Martin Luther King marching, MLK, Malcolm X type thing. But then racial segregation was more than just, the Jim Crow era, or just African Americans in segregated buses or sit-ins or anything. But it was way more than that. It expanded from just African Americans, Europeans, Ukrainians, Germans, Italians, because almost every race has experienced racial segregation. Now, going as far back in African American culture, you would think slavery. African Americans were enslaved and made to work and beaten if they did something wrong, or just beaten for their slave owners' amusement. And so that's as